The sun was setting over the downtown streets as the faint hum of the city filled the air. Emily, a 10-year-old girl, pushed her wheelchair down the sidewalk. Max, the German shepherd that had been her constant companion for nearly 5 years, trotting confidently beside her. His fur gleamed in the sunlight, his powerful muscles rippling beneath his sleek coat. For Emily, life hadn't always been easy. She was born with a condition that made it difficult for her to walk, her body unsteady and frail at times. But with Max, she could face anything. Max wasn't just her dog. He was her guardian, her protector, and her best friend. He had been trained as a service dog, helping her navigate the world with precision and care. He knew every command, every gesture, every moment of hesitation. As they reached the park, Emily glanced around, taking in the sounds of children playing, the laughter echoing through the air. The atmosphere felt peaceful, almost idyllic. But there was something unsettling about the way the breeze shifted, a slight change in the air that caused Max to stiffen, his ears twitching toward the sound of a revving engine. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the pavement. Emily turned her head to see a motorcycle speeding down the street, a sleek black Harley-Davidson gleaming in the fading sunlight. The rider, a large man clad in black leather and tattoos, wore dark sunglasses that obscured his expression. As he zoomed past, the engine roared loudly, startling Max. He growled low in his throat, his instincts kicking in. But Emily placed a hand on his head, whispering softly, "It's okay, Max. Just ignore him." The biker slowed down as he approached them, a devious grin curling across his lips. "Nice dog," he sneered, his voice cutting through the air. Max growled again, his hackles rising, but Emily wasn't worried. She knew Max's training. He would stay calm, but what happened next was far beyond what she had ever expected. The biker slowed to a crawl, turning his motorcycle to face them. Without warning, he kicked Max hard. The sound of the impact was sickening. Max yelped, his body lurching back as he staggered, unable to catch his balance. Emily's heart dropped as she saw Max fall to the ground, whimpering in pain. "No!" she screamed, her voice cracking. She instinctively tried to get out of her wheelchair, but the pain in her heart was stronger than the physical need to run. She reached out to Max, who was now shaking, his body vulnerable and hurt. The biker didn't seem to care. He revved his engine again, louder this time, the sound of his motorcycle deafening. He laughed, speeding away as if the whole situation was nothing but a joke. Emily watched in disbelief, her body trembling. The sound of the motorcycle faded into the distance, leaving her and Max in stunned silence. Max, who had always been strong, brave and full of energy, now lay on the ground, his eyes wide with confusion and fear. He couldn't understand why someone had hurt him, someone who was supposed to protect, not harm. Emily reached out, her fingers brushing against Max's fur. "I'm so sorry, boy," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. She knew this wasn't just an accident. It wasn't just a careless mistake. There was something darker at play here. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Max slowly tried to stand, his body unsteady. Emily could feel his distress, the way his muscles tensed and twitched under her fingers. It wasn't just the pain from the kick. Max was more than just a pet. He was trained to sense danger, to pick up on subtle changes in the environment. The biker's actions weren't random. Max had experienced something that triggered his deep instincts. But what was it? Emily could only guess. Then, as if fate had decided to intervene, a police car pulled up next to them. The officer, a tall man with a strong build and a stern face, stepped out. He had been watching from a distance, clearly aware of the situation. "Are you okay, ma'am?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Emily looked up, her face pale. "He kicked my dog," she said, her voice trembling. "Max, he's my service dog. He helps me with everything." She reached out to Max, who was now sitting upright but still visibly shaken. The officer looked down at Max, his eyes narrowing. "Is that a canine service dog?" he asked, his tone softer now. "Yes," Emily replied, her voice shaking. "He's trained to help me. He's more than just a dog. He's my partner." The officer's expression hardened. "I need you to stay here," he said. "I'm going to check on something." Without another word, he walked toward his squad car and radioed for backup. Emily sat next to Max, her heart racing. She could feel the tension building between them, the quiet whispers of the world around her blending with the harsh reality that had just unfolded. She had always trusted Max, but now she realized something deeper was at play. Max wasn't just her companion. He was a protector, a warrior with instincts that went far beyond simple training. Suddenly, the biker returned. This time he wasn't laughing. His motorcycle slowed as he approached, the once cocky grin replaced by a look of uncertainty. But this time the officer was ready. The officer's hand rested on his holstered weapon, his gaze never leaving the biker. "You," the officer said, his voice cold. "Step off the bike, now." The biker hesitated, then slowly dismounted, his hands raised in surrender. "I didn't know, all right?" he muttered, his voice shaky. "I didn't know he was a service dog." "That doesn't matter," the officer said, his tone unwavering. "You assaulted this girl's dog, and that's a crime. You hurt a canine, one of the most trusted animals on this planet. There will be consequences." As the officer took the biker into custody, Emily stood up, her hands gently resting on Max's back. She looked down at the dog who had been her unwavering companion for so long. Max, despite the pain, was still by her side, his presence more powerful than any words could convey. He was her protector, her hero, and nothing, not even the biker's cruelty, could change that. The police officer made sure the biker was taken away, but the case didn't end there. It was investigated thoroughly, and the biker was charged with animal cruelty as well as disturbing the peace. Emily, with the support of her family and Max, spoke out about the importance of service dogs and the need for people to respect them. The community rallied behind her, and awareness about the role of service dogs grew, as well as a collective commitment to ensuring such an incident would never happen again. Emily sat beside Max in the park that afternoon, the sun now dipping below the horizon. Her heart was still heavy, but there was a peace in knowing that Max would always be there for her. The pain he'd endured had only made their bond stronger, and as the stars began to twinkle above them, Emily whispered to Max, "Thank you for always protecting me." Max nuzzled her hand, his eyes soft, filled with love and loyalty. The world may have tried to break their bond, but it only made them stronger.